On question number 34, they ask for what the missing property is in this proof for line 3. So to go from step 2 to step 3, I've got 2x minus 7 equals 3, and my very next step in that would be to add 7 to both sides. That makes sense because the minus 7 is no longer there, and that 3 turned into a 10. So we used the addition property whenever we added 7 to both sides. On 35, we're going to transform this triangle. We're going to reflect it. And we talked very little about reflections, but I know I'm flipping it over, and it's still going to be congruent to what it originally was. So if I'm looking for the coordinates of the new point R, well, the easiest thing to do would be like, hey, it's 2 units from Q, and if I'm reflecting it, then it's going to be facing this way. It's going to look like that, right? So that new R is going to be on the other side of Q this time. So, and it's still going to be 2 units away because when something's reflected, it's still the same shape as it originally was. So the new R is going to be 2 units from Q, but the triangle is going to be facing this direction. So we'll call that R prime, and its coordinates would be 1, negative 2, because it's 1 on the x-axis and negative 2 on the y-axis. So R prime is at 1, negative 2. So this was a transformation over the y-axis.
Daddy?
Hi.
Hi. Dad, you're...
For this one, it says rectangle RCTG has 2 of its vertices. R is at negative 2, 3. And C is at negative 2, negative 1. Which of the following could be the coordinates for the other 2 vertices of this rectangle? So I'm just going to try out the options. Is it 5 and 2? Don't touch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. I'm going to go ahead and say no. That's not going to be where point T is going to be, because that wouldn't make a rectangle. It would be, it wouldn't make the 90-degree angle here like you need for a rectangle. So I think answer choice A is wrong. All right, so I'm going to try answer choice B, negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that would mean T would be right here. Well, that's not going to make a rectangle either, so let's get rid of that one. Remember, rectangle is a parallelogram with 4 right angles. So A is out, B is out. Let's try C. Is T going to be at 5, negative 1? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 1. Okay, that's cool. That makes a right angle. And then G, is that going to be at 5, 3? Oh, 5, 1, 2, 3. Dude, that totally makes a rectangle. So answer choice C is the best one. For number 36, rectangle RCG. I feel like I just did this question. Yeah, I just did that. I already did that question. So on 37, it says, what is the measure of angle D? Well, there's an equilateral triangle, and you guys know that the angles in an equilateral triangle are all 60 degrees.
Yeah.
Don't touch. So if that's 60 degrees right here, then this angle is going to be, because it makes a linear pair, 120 degrees. I didn't really need to do all that. I guess I could have, well, yeah, that'll work. We'll just keep going with it, okay? And this other triangle looks like it's an isosceles.
Yeah, it's cool enough.
This angle's 120 degrees. This would be the base of our isosceles triangle. So we know those base angles are equal. We know it all has to add up to 180. So that's 120 plus x equals 180. Or 120 plus 2x equals 180. Subtract. 2x equals 60 and divide. x equals 30. So each of those angles is 30 degrees. Hi, Ray. Ray, say hi to my students. Say hi.
Who could they do that?
Yeah, okay. Alrighty, on 38, I got a quadrilateral with those vertices. And the points are multiplied by negative 1.5.
I've never tried them.
Alright. So if I'm multiplying by a certain number, we call that number the scale factor. Okay? And the scale factor means the two shapes are similar to each other. So I'm going to say that ABCD is going to be similar to the other guy, but I got to figure out which one is which. So if I multiplied A by that negative 1.5, so A was 2 comma 6, if we multiplied that scale factor of negative 1.5 times negative 1.5, then that's going to give me a new point, and 2 times negative 1.5 is totally going to be a negative 3. And then if I multiply this guy by negative 1.5, that would give me a, let's see, a negative 9. So A is going to be changed to be whatever negative 3, negative 9 is. So negative 1, 2, 3, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So A turns into G, according to this rule. All right, so I know it's either going to be C or D. Let's see what B turns into. B has coordinates of 4, comma 2, and we're going to multiply it by that scale factor of negative 1.5. Alrighty, so 4 times negative 1.5 is going to be 6, negative 6. And 2 times the negative 1.5 is a negative 3. So B is going to turn into whatever negative 6, negative 3 is. So negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, negative 1, 2, 3. So B turned into M. So A turned into G, B turned into M. It looks like D is the best answer choice. On this one, parallelogram, we know that those angles are supplementary, right? Those same side interiors are supplementary. And whenever I rip them off the piece of paper and stick them together, it's going to form a linear pair. So this one says linear pair. Oops. It says linear pair, but then it says they're congruent. So A is wrong. This one shows them overlapping. That's wrong. C says they would overlap. Oh, that's wrong. This one says they'd form a linear pair when you stick them next to each other. That's true because they're supplementary, because that's true. So D is the best choice. Lastly, number 40. All right, what kind of triangle is this? So I'm going to go ahead and sketch it out. A, B, C. B is 2x minus 80. A is x minus 30. And C is x minus 70. All right, guys, so I know that all these angles have to add up to the magic number, 180, right? So x minus 30 plus 2x minus 80 plus x minus 70 equals 180. Let's combine some like terms. I've got an x, 2x, and x. So I've got 4 x's all together. I've got a minus 30, minus 80, minus 70. Put all those together, you got minus 180. So let's solve it for x. Let's add 180 to both sides. 4x equals 360. Let's divide by 4, and x equals 90. So if I plug it in here, that's 90 minus 30, or 60 degrees. That's 2 times 90 minus 80, which is 180 minus 80. That's 100 degrees. And that's 90 minus 70, which is 20 degrees. So I have a 60, 20, and 100 degree angle in here. Well, I know since all the angles are different, then all the sides are going to be different as well. That's how it works, right? And since I see a 100 degree angle in here, I know that this is going to be an obtuse triangle, right? Over 90 degrees is obtuse, so obtuse scalene. All sides are different, that makes it scalene, and that 100-degree angle makes it obtusa. The end.